Hey guys, DIY Maniac here. I'm going to show you how to remove, check, and possibly replace the spark plugs. I don't know if I'm going to replace mine yet because I have to check them first. But I wanted to show you the steps I take to make life easier on this Honda Civic 1.8 liter. There's a little plastic cover that covers up the wire harness on top of the valve cover that in theory I guess you don't need to remove it. I just find it's easier. It's two flathead plastic retaining screws. You give a half turn and this plastic piece comes off, which then gives you a little more accessibility to the wire connectors to each of the individual coil packs. And on the wire connectors, a little thumb tab that you push and you could pop the wire connector off, and now your coil's free to come out. Next, what you got to do is taking your ratchet with a 10mm socket is you're going to remove the retaining bolt for the coil pack. So you're going to obviously turn that in counterclockwise and you're going to remove that, and that's going to allow you to remove the coil pack off of the spark plug. So we're going to go ahead and unscrew that. So today I'm just going to show you on one of the spark plugs. I'm not going to go take you through the whole thing. I only have 75,000 kilometers on this vehicle, so what's that, 50,000 miles, 55,000 miles, whatever it comes to. So they're not due to be changed just yet, but it's still a good idea. I wanted to check them after the first year of owning the car just to see what condition they're in. So once the retaining bolt is removed, you could grab your coil pack and pull straight out, and it comes right off. And you can see your coil pack with your boot, and you can put that aside. And now you can go to the process of removing your spark plug. So for that, you're going to take your ratchet with an extension with your 5/8 spark plug socket. You're going to obviously once again make sure counterclockwise. You're going to put it in, and then you're going to turn counterclockwise to remove the spark plug. So I'm just going to put it in a good position here. And you're going to give it a little turn. And then remove the spark plug just by turning it. So you keep turning it by hand to loosen it. And you remove it all the way. Feel once it's come free, which it has now, pull it out and take your spark plug out. So here we have the spark plug, and we can now check it for gap, and we could check it and clean it. So let's take the camera here. So we come here to the workbench and we're going to check the spark plug visually, as well as we're going to take a soft nylon brush and we're going to clean off the threads. We're going to clean off the electrode, just remove any deposits that are on there. And we want to check for visual cues on the spark plug itself. We want to check for any maybe blackness that could be a sign of a rich condition in the cylinder. We want to check maybe for some whiteness that could be a lean condition. We just want to check the overall condition of the spark plug. Now I think Honda says we only need to change them at 120,000 kilometers or 120,000 miles, whatever it is. You know, it's a $10 spark plug, $40 to do them all in the car. I'm going to do it at 100,000 kilometers. So I'm not doing it yet because so far they still look in great shape, but I will be doing it probably next year for the cost, and I like doing it. Why not? I don't like to push the limits too far. As we know, manufacturers like to set very extended service schedules to give themselves better ratings on car reviews. For the little bit of money, I say it's better off to do it earlier than later. So what we want to do is we want to also check the gap on our spark plug. We don't want to take for granted that the gap is going to be okay. Even brand new out of a box that says pre-gapped, let's check it anyways. Honda says on the 1.8 liter we need a 0.044 gap. So we take our gapping tool and we're going to check it. We're going to slide it in. And here we're a little small, not much, just a little bit. So I'm going to open that up a bit. So I'm going to take my gapping tool and I'm going to pry open that electrode just a bit to open it up, just until the 0.44 slides in easily, which now it does. So we know we're properly gapped. So now we're going to go back to the car and we're going to do the reverse of installation, and I'll show you that. Okay, so we're back at the car. Now we got to put the spark plug back in. So we cleaned it, we inspected it, we re-gapped it. You know, some people put a little bit of anti-seize on the threads. I like to remove my spark plugs every year or two for inspection, so they're never really going to seize up on me, so I don't put any anti-seize there. I do put a little dielectric grease on the ceramic portion, the porcelain portion of the spark plug, so make sure it doesn't stick in the boot. And then what we're going to do is we're going to reinsert the spark plug down the bore, and you want to start it by hand. Always start by hand. Never go right away with the ratchet, because it's very easy to cross thread these, especially on aluminum heads. So we're going to go basically hand tight all the way. Now the torque spec for this car, I believe, is 17 to 18 foot-pounds, which for me, after years of working on cars, is hand tight. I know that pretty much. So I take my spark plug, we tighten it down. We're then going to get our ratchet. We're going to put our ratchet back on, and we're going to go clockwise. We're going to turn it, and we're going to snug it up, which is basically hand tight. We're then going to remove our socket, and sometimes that little silly rubber boot from the spark plug socket gets stuck inside, so I take a pair of pliers. I need to get myself a better spark plug socket, like a snap-on. These Stanleys aren't always the best. The little rubber boot stays on sometimes. Take that out, put it back in our socket. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our coil pack back on, so it's reverse of what we already did. Put it into place, push it down. We're then going to take our screw, which if I could find, it's right here. We're going to take our little screw that we took out. Now in this one I like to put a little bit of anti-seize on the threads, just a little bit, a little dab, before we put it back in. And we're going to screw that back into place using our 10mm socket. Torque spec on this as well is hand tight, and I'm sure the Sportec torque spec is not very much on something like this, so we could just go hand tight on that. So put our ratchet back on, put our hand tight. Remember to re-plug in our wiring harness till we hear the positive click. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to follow along. I already did the first one. I showed you the second one. I'm going to do 3 and 4 and basically follow the same process. And obviously if you're going to change them, it's exactly what you saw, except you'd be putting in new spark plugs instead of the ones you already took out. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's the inspection, cleaning, and re-gapping on spark plugs on a 2013 Honda Civic with the 1.8 liter. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Thanks a lot.